Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to talk about a block which is called Query Loop. This is one of the most functional blocks in WordPress, but not many people are using it, maybe because they do not understand the potential of this block. So that today we are going to talk about the secrets of it, how to use it, and why you need it. So let's add it on the page. So we are typing here query and here is it. So once you select it, you will see that there are options here. So you can select start blank or you can choose from the ones that are already set. These blocks will be available for you if your theme contains templates for the block query loop, or for example, you can purchase query addition on Greenshift from the additions tab. So here is additions. When you set this addition, you'll see many available templates for this block that you can use and change if you want. I will now show you some examples. So one of the weaknesses of this block is that it is quite slow and we need to wait. So here are the blocks and we can choose between them. As you can see, there are different designs on this block. But now let's go back and choose a blank block. So we just click on Start Blank. Here we can choose the elements that will be available in the block. Actually, later on you can add other elements or remove the ones that you have already created. So it's not that important what you choose here. And here, as we can see, there is an archive of our posts. Also here we can choose other post type. Or if you want, you can also choose some other filters, like for example, categories, tags, authors, or keywords. Also, we can display as grid view or list view. So let's set here a grid view, like this. Here in the toolbar, there are also display settings, and you can choose the number of items per page or offset. Offset means that if we set, for example, 1, our first post is not going to be displayed here, and the next 3 posts are going to be displayed like this. If we check our query block in the navigator, as we can see, it's not just a block, it's kind of constructor, meaning that we can edit, remove, add, or double each element here. For example, if we want the pagination not to be displayed, we can just remove it from here. And now, the most interesting that this block has is that when you add any element inside the block, for each position, it will be doubled on all the others. So let's check how it works. So if we select our title and change its size, we can do this from here. As we can see, the changes are applied to all the other posts. So let's now change the color and the size. Like this, let's choose this color. And size. If you click on the ellipses, there will be some more available options. So for example, if you want your blocks to have the same height, then you can click on the image and to set a static height of the image. Let's put here 100. And now all our elements have the same height. We can increase the number of items per page from here. For example, let's set 9. And as you can see, now our grid looks very well. When we click on each element, we have here some additional options. Moreover, we can change the position of each element, like this. Or if we want, we can also add more elements. To do this, we need to select the post template. Then we can see here a button plus, and we can add from there other elements. You can add here any element, but it makes sense if you add the elements that support query loop block. Mostly they are located here in theme. So let's, for example, add an element that is called post categories. So we need to click on plus and then type categories. So here is it. If you use Query Addition, you can download it from the Additions tab. Then for many of the blocks, there will be available many styles. As you can see, there are a lot of styles here. Apart from adding here different elements, you can also add here blocks that are responsible for the design changes or for the structure changes. So let's check how it works. Let's add here a block which is called post author, like this, and now let's make it a bit more compact. So now we have here two blocks, but we also want to make them on the same row. To do this, we just need to select them and then click on row, and this is what we get. If you want, you can also set block spacing from here, as well as justification. Instead of using a row, you can also use a block which is called container. So again, what we need to do is just select both blocks, but here we just need to click on transform to container, like this. Then we click here on Flexbox and also we set a direction. Also, we will add margin for child items. So why the container block is much better than the row block? The thing is that here you can change the way it works on each resolution separately. So for example, on desktop it will be displayed as columns, while on mobile devices it will be displayed as separate lines. The block container is not only helpful because of the arrangement of elements, but also because, for example, if we look at the block options for titles, as you can see, they are quite limited. Here there are only 3 colors. But we can transform it to container from here. And now, as we can see, there are much more options here. For example, typography. So if we click on typography here, as you can see, there is a hover color, meaning that the color that will be displayed when hovering the mouse will be different. I will show you now how. So let's choose, for example, this color, and let's choose also a color for the links hover color. So when I hover the mouse, the color is changing. Also, we now see that all our elements are not displayed on the same row. This is because the titles of the posts have different height. So if we choose here transform to container, we can set here a static height. 150 is too much, so let's set, for example, 70, like this. Also, we can enable here overflow. It's in spacing. So we choose hidden, meaning that everything that is more than this high will be cropped. Now, as you can see, all the elements are displayed on the same row. For high limitation, there is also another helpful block, which is called Content Toggler. And let's see how it works. So let's first add post excerpt. We click on it. And as we can see, it's too large and doesn't look so good. So now we'll add another block, which is called Content Toggler, from here, from the plus. And now we'll move post excerpt to Content Toggler, like this. And then we will delete the paragraph. Now let's set the height that we want. And we can remove open label, like this. And now this block will not open up. And this is how it looks. We will also change the font size. We can do this from here. And this is how our block is looking now. Also, don't forget that we can choose width of the block. Like, for example, we can make it wider. And also here we can set another height. Let's say 150, like this. And this is what we finally get. The next feature of the block container is the ability to manage design options in selected positions in our list. So to do this, we need to select Query Loop and then to transform it to container, like this. Then we click on White Width. At the moment, our container manages the design options of the block itself, meaning the whole container. We can check this. For example, if we add a shadow, it will be applied to the whole block. But here there is also such an option which is called Query Controller. And if we enable it, then we can influence options of each position separately. As you can see, now the shadow is applied to each element of the grid. We can also add some spacing here in each position. As we can see, our block is now looking totally different. We can now go further and add some more advanced options, like for example a hover effect. We can do this from CSS transform, let's say 1.1, like this. And also we can add a transition time. Also, instead of adding shadow to the element itself in the grid, you can add it separately to the images. So let's disable it from here. And here we can add this effect, which is quite interesting. Moreover, the block container can be used to control the number of columns. The thing is that in the query block, when you set the number of columns, it works automatically. So it adapts to every screen resolution. This means that, for example, it's not possible to make on mobile devices to be displayed 2 columns instead of 1. And I will show you now how it looks. So if we go to mobile, as we can see, we'll always have only 1 column here. So we can rewrite column properties with the block container. To do this, we need to click here on CSS grid. And now our container is changing the number of columns for our block query. And here you can set your own values. For example, like this. We will set 0 here for padding. And now, as we can see, we can set 2 columns on mobile devices, or if we want, we can set even more. Apart from this, block container has an interesting option which is called Smart Scroll to Inner Items, and if we enable it, our block will get scrollable like this. This is also very convenient on mobile devices because it saves a lot of space, as you can see. Moreover, you can also enable Use Carousel Script. And as you can see, a button is appearing and we can scroll the items. Also, you can enable autoplay. In Addition Query, there are several more blocks that can be very helpful for the creation of custom archives. And now let's check how they work. So we select our block and we add thumbs counter. This block allows you to add voting ballot under each post. It has several design options, so you can choose either thumbs up or down or minus and plus. Also, you can add a counter line that will be filled in as you vote for each post. So you can use this block not only to create an archive, but also inside individual posts or when building internal pages. The next helpful block is called wishlist, so let's add it. It also has many designs, and I will now show you how to make it so that it is relatively positioned inside the image itself. So to do this, we will remove the text from here. Also, we will disable counter value. And now we have one icon only. So let's now make the icon to be displayed on the image itself, because now it doesn't look very good. So in order to do this, we need to go to Advanced, then Position. We click on Absolute, and then we add values on the top and right side. Now we need to make sure that the icon doesn't merge with the image that lies under the icon. So we need to do some changes in the design. We need to go to Icon Spacing, here, and we set 0 for margin. Then we will add a value of 10 for padding. Also, let's add 50 pixels for round corners and a small shadow. And to make sure that this doesn't merge, we will add a cover for the background. And this is what we get. This block is now fully changeable and you can make it as you want. Now let's look at another example. So let's say we need to get some data from custom fields for our posts, like for example to allow to display some additional values. In WordPress, there is not such a block where we can get these values, but in Addition Query, there is a specific block which is called meta, and it is able to pull absolutely any values for your posts. This may be useful if you are using any plugins to extend the functionality of your posts to add some custom panels. So, for example, we have several posts. And I have added in it a custom field, as you can see here. So let's check how it works. We will add a block which is called post meta getter, and here we need to enter the key that we need to receive from our posts. So we'll type here complexity. And as we can see, we have now here additional values. Here there is a great variety of different types. And apart from this, we can also change the typography, the colors, and so on. For example, we will make the font smaller, and if we want also to add an icon behind these values, we need to transform to container from here. Then we click on Flexbox, and we choose the direction. And finally, we add a value of 5 for margin for child items. After that, we need to add a block icon box. So let's choose, for example, this one. And since it's too big, let's make it smaller, like this. And now we'll move this icon to the container. And this is what we get. And finally, we will also choose a central align. That's all. So this way you can add absolutely any values, modify them, and create custom designs for your websites. Thanks to the plugin Greenshift, you can make very unusual layouts. For example, here I have brought everything in one line, both the voting ballot and values. So to do this, I have just transformed to container. Then I have selected Flexbox. On Justify Content, I have chosen Between and Direction Row. And this is the template that I got. So finally, I will click on Update in order to save the changes. When you already have a blog that you have created the way you like it, You can also use it to create archives on your website. If you use block theme, for example, on this website, I use a theme Wordpress. You can access block themes in Appearance and then Editor tab. And here I will select Browse All Templates. Then I click on Archive. Here there is a very important option that you need to enable if you use your blog in your custom archives, and it is called Inherit Query from Template. This means that the sampling will be done automatically based on the page where your blog is located. For example, if this is headings page, then this block will display all posts specifically with the given heading on which the user is located. So this is how block themes work. However, the majority of themes now are classic ones. You do not have an access to classic themes in virtual archives, meaning that if you go to Appearance, as you can see, there is not Editor tab here, so you do not have an access to the category Editor. That is why in Addition Query we have added an option that allows you to rewrite the templates and categories. So we click here on Add New. We type Camera Category Replace. Here we'll add a block row. We need this block to center our content. We will choose full width from here, and then one column. Here we'll add a query loop, then click on Choose, and again choose. Don't forget to enable Inherit Query from Template. Now we go to Reusable block, and you will find here Template Replacement. When you enable it, this template will be used to rewrite the template of your page. You can choose here by taxonomy. So we want to rewrite the categories. If you don't select anything here, then this template will rewrite all categories. Also, you can use it to rewrite only specific categories. For example, cameras. So we choose cameras, and then we need to click on Publish. So as we can see, now everything works well. If, for example, we disable this option, then a standard heading will be used. Let's now enable it again. Here there are several more blocks that are very helpful as well. One of them is Archive Title. This block allows to dynamically enter the title on your taxonomy or archive. We click on Update to save the changes. And as we can see, here we got the title of our heading. In order to make the content centrally located, we will add it inside our block row, like this. Then we click again on Update, and this is what we get. Now, when we have an access to the template, we can create absolutely any designs. For example, we can change the color of the background. We'll add a gradient and then we will also add the padding. After that, we will change the text color, and finally we will increase the size, like this. When it comes to the color and size, it's better to set it separately for each block, while background, for example, we can put it into the parent blocks. We will add a margin here, let's say 50 pixels, and also, for example, shape divider on the bottom. We can choose from here. Then we click on Update, and this is what we get. Apart from block title, we have also another block which is called term description. So let's add it. And now let's change the color and its position. So term description displays the description that you add when you create a rubric, and this description will be displayed here. This is the simplest category design example. Actually, you're not limited here, and you can design your categories the way you want to. You can even add images to some sections here. To do this, you just need to add a block gallery. Then we will select the images that we want. And then we click on Create a new gallery and finally Insert Gallery. Now we will convert them back to images. I select them all together, and then I will transform them to container, and I will enable Flexbox. Here it will be even more convenient to use Smart Scroll to inner items, because this way the block is not going to take so much space on mobile devices. We will set a minimum width of 10, like this, and then we will set a margin. Now I can add a link to each image. To do this, I just click on Add Link, and then I'll click on Update in order to save the changes. And this is how it's going to look like. You can check on Google different design options. If you type category page design, as you can see, there is a great variety of different design options. So you can check them, you can get some inspiration and do something more interesting and extraordinary. This is all for today. Have a good day and see you in the next video.